Hi, I'm Anita. Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be making a bracelet called Moonlit Evenings. This is a design by Renee Kovnesky from her book titled Exquisite Stitching with Multi-Hole Beads. I'll be using beads from my stash from different vendors. I've got a few beads from Potomac, Beadmaster LLC, Amazon, and Red Panda. Now, if you see any of these items from Red Panda beads that you'd like to order, they do have a 35% off discount code that they've given me. And so if you want to use that discount code, it's called Bead Creations to give you a one-time 35% off your purchase. So I'll have that up on the screen and in the description box if you'd like to use that. So I'll have links in the description box that'll apply to all the products used today. If you click more below the video, you'll get all the details, including a link to my website. Alright, so let's review the materials. First of all, you're going to need 6-pound Fireline, a pair of scissors, and I'm using a size 10 beading needle. You can use a 12. You're also going to need a slider clasp for 2-strand bracelet. If you don't have a slider clasp, you can use a toggle clasp that enables or is used for 2-strand bracelets. I'm also using 11/0 Miyuki galvanized gold seed beads. Then the next beads in line, they're called dragon scale beads, and those are kind of an unusual shape, and they have a single hole. And they have a front side and a back side, so we'll be using those today. You're also going to need some 3mm bicone crystals, and I have them in kind of a tangerine color. You're also going to need some SuperDuo beads, and you're also going to need 2-hole Cabochon beads, and the size is 6mm for this particular pattern. Alright, so grab all your materials and let's get started. Alright, the first thing you're going to need is to thread your needle with about 2 yards of your 6-pound Fireline. And we're going to start with our SuperDuos and our 11/0 seed beads. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to pick up one of our SuperDuos, and please check your multi-hole beads to make sure you don't have any blocked holes, because that does happen on occasion. It doesn't matter which hole I'm going into. So I'm picking up my SuperDuo, and then I'm going to pick up 3 of my 11/0 seed beads in gold. I'm going to bring that down, and you want to leave about a 6-inch tail to weave in later. Now for training purposes, I'm doing a shorter tail, but you want about a 6-inch tail. So from here, I've got my SuperDuo and my 3 11/0s. I'm going to go back through the empty hole of the SuperDuo, like that. Now I'm going to pick up 3 more of my 11/0s, and now I'm going to go back through the hole where I started in the SuperDuo, like that. Now I'm going to reinforce by coming back through all of my beads. And as you notice, these are kind of angled, so you might have to do it in multiple steps. So I'm going to go through my 11/0s. Now I'm going to go through the 11/0 and the hole of the SuperDuo. And now I'm going to come down through these 3 11/0s here, and through this last 11/0 here, and I'm coming out where my tail thread is. Now your tail thread should be at least 6 inches. So I'm going to do a surgeon's knot here. So you're going to take your tail thread, you're going to cross over your working thread and bring that through your loop twice. Then you're going to pull that nice and tight to secure that. So from here, I'm going to bring my needle through the SuperDuo, top hole, like that. Then you're going to bring your needle through. So that's what you should have so far. From here, we're exiting our SuperDuo. We're going to pick up 2 of our 11/0s in gold, a SuperDuo, and then 2 more of our 11/0s in gold. So that's what you should have. We're going to bring our needle through the opposite side of the SuperDuo where our thread is coming out. So you want to make sure you're just going through the SuperDuo bead like that. I'm going to pull that together. So now we're going to reinforce this. We're going to go back around through these beads that we just added. So we're going through the 2 11/0s that we just added, and the SuperDuo bottom hole right there. And you can do it in 1 step, or you can do it in 2 steps. Now we're going to bring our needle through these 2 11/0s, then we're going to come back through the SuperDuo, and that's to reinforce, and just keep your tail thread out of the way. Now we're going to come back through these 2 11/0s, and through the bottom hole of this SuperDuo. Now we're going to pick up 3 11/0s, going into the empty hole of the same SuperDuo, pick up 3 more 11/0s, going through the empty hole of the bottom of the SuperDuo, like that. And just make sure that your thread doesn't kink up. So from here, we're exiting the bottom of the SuperDuo. We're going to go through these 3 11/0s, and you can do it in 1 step. That's fine. Just pull that, and now you're going to bring your needle to the top hole of just the SuperDuo. Okay, so that is the end of the pattern. We're going to start over and repeat. So there's 2 steps that you're going to do, and you're going to repeat those until you get the length. So we'll do that again. So from here, we're exiting the top hole of the SuperDuo. I'm going to pick up 2 of my 11/0s, SuperDuo, and 2 of my 11/0s. I'm exiting my SuperDuo here. I'm going to go in through the opposite side of where my thread is, and just go through the SuperDuo. Now we want to reinforce. We're going to come back through the 2 11/0s and the SuperDuo bottom hole, come down through these 2 11/0s and the top hole of the SuperDuo below, like that. Now we're going to come back through the 2 11/0s and the bottom hole of the SuperDuo. We can do that in 2 steps. Let's just go ahead and do that. So we're coming through those 2 and then through the bottom hole of the SuperDuo to complete that step. So from here, we're going to pick up 3 11/0s, exiting the bottom hole, going into the empty top hole of the SuperDuo. See if I can get that to focus better. Now we're going to pick up 3 more 11-O's, come down the empty hole of the SuperDuo, and now come up through the 3 11-O's, and through the SuperDuo top hole. That completes that step. So we're going to do that one more time, and then I'll send you on your own. Pick up 2 11-O's, SuperDuo, 2 11-O's. Exiting the top of this SuperDuo, we're coming in through the opposite side, like that. You reinforce on this step. When you're adding 2 11-O's on each side, this is where you reinforce. Go through the 2 and the bottom hole of the SuperDuo. Now go through the 11-O's and through the top hole of the SuperDuo below. Now come back through the 2 11-O's and the SuperDuo bottom hole. That sets us up. Now we're going to pick up 3 11-O's, go through the empty hole of the SuperDuo, pick up 3 more 11-O's, go through the empty hole of the bottom of the SuperDuo, and now you're going up through the 3 11-O's and the top hole of the SuperDuo to end this step. So that is the pattern that you're going to do, and you're going to do that for the full length of the bracelet. So I'm going to show you the one I've already done. This measures approximately 6.5 inches, and my clasp is going to add another 1/2 inch. So I'm going to have about a 7-inch or 7 1/4 inch bracelet. So you want the length of this to be according to what you want your wrist size. So make sure you add at least a 1/2 inch for your clasp. So you're going to continue with this pattern until you have this length, and you're going to make 2 of these. So you need to do 2 identical strips following those steps, and if you need to rewind the video, go ahead and do that. I'll try to have timestamps for you as to where the beginning of the pattern is, and then you're just going to repeat that all the way until you have your 2 strips, and then we'll be going on to the next step. Now that we have our 2 strips completed, our next step is to start adding our 2-hole cabochons. Now the thing you want to remember is on your 2-hole cabochons, as you have the dome facing up, you've got 2 holes. You've got your left and your right hole. So we're going to be going in through the right hand hole for this next step. So make sure that you have the flat side down and that you're going into the right hole. So the first thing you want to do is cut a new piece of Fireline approximately 2 yards long, and you're going to put a stop bead on. And when you put your stop bead on, you're going to leave about a 6 to 8 inch tail. So I have my stop bead on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of our strips. I'm going to start with this strip here. And you're going to come in through this last SuperDuo here, the top hole. So you're going to bring your needle through your SuperDuo like that, through the top hole, and just pull that through. I've got a lot of thread here, so bear with me. And so that stop bead is just going to have a marker where I want that to be long enough to have my 6 to 8 inch tail. We're going to be doing a knot here shortly. So now that I've gone through that SuperDuo, I'm going to go up through these two 11-0s right here. Now I'm going in through the bottom hole of this SuperDuo. Now I'm going to bring my needle down through these two 11-0s right there. Take your time when you're doing this because you're going to have a really long thread and you don't want it to get tangled up. So if you pull it nice and slow, it'll feed through without getting knotted up, hopefully. So here we're back to where our tail thread is. From here I'm going to take my stopper bead off. So just hold on to your thread, pull your stopper bead off. And I'm going to take my tail thread, place it over my working thread, and I'm going to do a surgeon's knot. So cross that over, bring your tail thread in through the loop twice. Now pull your thread, make sure that that knot is in between those beads, pull that nice and tight, and now we can continue. So this is my tail thread up here. I'm just going to leave that out of the way. Here's my working thread. I'm coming out of this 11-0 right here. Now I'm going to advance through these next 3 11-0s. Now I'm going to advance through the bottom hole of this SuperDuo. It's a little tricky sometimes getting through here, and if you're having a tough time, just switch to a size 12 beading needle. Alright, I've pulled my thread and my working thread's coming out of the bottom of the SuperDuo. Now I'm going to advance up through the next 2 11-0s. So I want my needle coming out of this middle 11-0 that's sticking out right there. So my working thread is now exiting this 11-0, the second 11-0, and I'm going to pick up my first cabochon bead, and I want to come in through the right hand hold like that. So make sure it's the dome side is up, the flat side is down, and you're going in through the right hand hole. Take your time as you're pulling your thread so that you don't get it tangled up. Now from here I'm going to bring my needle through this next 11-0 of where the 3 are, and you can tell because it's the 11-0 that's sticking out. So I want my needle, I'm coming from this 11-0 that's sticking out into this 11-0 that's sticking out. So you want to pull your thread, and your cabochon should be nestled in that little crevice or that little curve there. So we're going to do that again. We're exiting the 11-0 that's sticking out here. I'm going to pick up another cabochon, going through the right hand hole, and I'm going to bring my needle through the 11-0 that's sticking out next in line. Pull that nice and secure, and try not to have any slack in your thread. You just want to keep it not too tight, but just so that there's no lax thread poking through. So it should be nice and nestled up against that edge. So that's what we have. So from here we're going to pick up another cabochon, same way, exiting this 11-0, going into this 11-0 right there. So we'll pick up our next cabochon, flat side down, going through the right hand hole. Bring your needle into the 11-0 that's sticking up next in line. And if your bead gets twisted around, just rearrange it, pull your thread, and that should correct it. So that's going to be the pattern. You're going to continue adding your 2-hole cabochons all the way till you reach the end of the strip. And then I'll meet you back and we'll go on to the next step. All right, I'm coming down to my very last cabochon. And before we put that on, I want to share with you why it's so important to check your multi-hole beads for blocked holes. I came across one of my cabochons, getting ready to put this on. And as you can see, it looks like you have 2 holes here. Checking with my needle. As you can see, this second hole looks a little smaller, and as you notice, if I flip this over, there is not a second hole. So this cabochon was completely blocked. So I'll have to toss that one. So that's why you want to be really careful checking these, because that would mean you'd have to undo your entire bracelet to go back and replace that blocked cabochon. So this is my last one. I'm coming out of this 11-0 sticking out. I'm going to bring my needle through the left hole of my cabochon, and I'm coming in through the middle bead of this last group of 11-0s. So that's what you should have so far. From here, we're going to be picking up 3 11-0s. So right now my thread is exiting this 11-0 here. Going to pick up 3 11-0s. And I'm going to pick up my other strip, my second strip, and I'm going to come down through the 11-0 that's sticking out at the beginning of this strip. So just pull that, and that's going to get this set up to do the other half of this pattern. So right now, our thread is exiting this middle 11-0 right there. So from here, I want to bring my needle through the empty hole on this cabochon on this side. So there's my empty hole. Bring your needle through. So it's through the cabochon, and then I'm going to go through the next 11-0. Like that. So you're going from your 11-0 through your cabochon to the next 11-0. Pull that nice and gentle. Take your time doing this. Just make sure your thread is not bunched up, and it should lay nice and flat. So that's the first unit. So you can pick it up in your hand to kind of make it easier to maneuver. We're coming out of this 11-0. We're going to go through the cabochon, empty hole, into the next 11-0 that's sticking out. And each time you do each unit, pull your thread to make sure it's nice and secure, and you're going to continue doing this same step, exiting this 11-0, going through the cabochon into the next 11-0. And if it gets caught on anything, just pull that up, pull and double check, make sure everything's connected. And you're going to continue doing the same sequence of steps till you get to the very end. So continue advancing through your cabochon, through the next 11-0, through the cabochon, through the next 11-0, and so forth. And I'll meet you when we get to the end. All right, I'm getting near the end here. I've got a couple more to go. I'm exiting this 11-0 that's sticking out, going through my cabochon, through this next 11-0, going through this cabochon and the 11-0 that's sticking out at the end. All right, I'm going to flip this around. Going to pick up 3 11-0s in gold. And I'm exiting this 11-0 that's sticking out. I'm going to go through this next 11-0 that's sticking out. Now we're going to advance through these next 5 beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to be coming out of this center 11-0. So we're going to bring our needle through. If you can only do a couple of beads at a time, that's fine. So I want my needle exiting right there. So that's where you should be with your needle exiting out of this inside this inside 11-0. All right, for our next step, we're picking up 3 more 11-0s. We're exiting this 11-0 here. We're going to sew up through the 11-0 that's directly across. From here, we're going to come back through the 3 11-0s we just added, so our thread is coming out right here. We're going to go back through these 3 11-0s. From here, we're going to sew through the cabochon hole, right there. Now we're going to sew through that 11-0 that's next in line that's sticking out. You're going to pick up 3 more 11-0s. We're exiting this 11-0 here. We're going to go up through the 11-0 directly across. Now bring your needle back through the 3 11-0s you just added. We're going to come through the 11-0 at the end and through the cabochon. Right there. So that's what you should have here. Now we're going to start doing a different embellishment going forward. We're going to start adding our dragon scale beads. All right, so we're coming out of this cabochon right here. We're going to advance through this 11-0 that's sticking out. Now we're going to start picking up our dragon scale beads. Now, as you notice, our dragon scale bead has a coated side, so that's the front, and then this is the back side, which is the clear side. Now I'm going to face it so that the colored side is up. It's a matter of preference. If you'd rather turn it the other way, you can certainly put them on that way, but I want the tinted side facing up. So to start picking up your pattern, the first dragon bead I'm picking up from back to front. So that means I want my needle coming through the back side, like that, from back to front. Now I'm going to pick up an 11-0, a crystal, and this is a 3mm bicone. Going to pick up another 11-0 and another dragon scale bead, but this time I'm going to go front to back. So I'm going with my needle coming in through the front to the back, like that. Bring that down, and I'm going to bring my needle up through the 11-0 directly across. And you want these to sit on top. They're going to move a little bit, which is not a problem, so just try to get the thread as snug as you can get it. So I'm coming out of this 11-0 here. I want to come back through all the beads I just added. So I'm coming up back through the dragon scale bead, the 11-0, the crystal, the 11-0, the dragon scale bead, and then we'll be on the other side. It's a little tricky doing this, just take your time. So there, I've got my needle through all my beads. I'm going to put my thumb on top to hold these so they don't come loose, and pull your thread. Now I want to come back through that 11-0 where I started on the opposite side. So you have to kind of dig your needle in there, but it's that 11-0 that's sticking out where you started. So we're just going to come back through like that and pull that snug. So now we want to reinforce that. We want to come back this way, up through the 11-0 underneath, and then back through the beads this way, down through the 11-0 on the other side. So to do that, you're going to be turning your work around so that whatever angle works for you, because I need to get back through these beads. So I'm coming up through the dragon scale bead, the 11-0, and the crystal, the 11-0, and the dragon scale bead. All right, that's my first pass of reinforcement. Coming out of the dragon scale bead, I'm going to go up through the 11-0. Now I want to come back across and down through the 11-0 on the other side. So go back through the beads up on top. You might have to do it in a couple of steps. So I'm going through the dragon scale, the 11-0, the crystal, and the 11-0. Hold your thumb on top to keep it secure. Now I'm going through the dragon scale bead to finish this reinforcement. I need to come back down through the 11-0 that's underneath. So you might need to kind of move this around, fidget with it a little bit. You just want to get your needle down underneath like that through that 11-0. And that completes reinforcing. So now when I go through the cabochon now, the next cabochon in line, through the next 11-0 that's sticking out, and I'm going to do another embellishment here. So I'm doing dragon scale, back to front, an 11-0, a crystal, an 11-0, a dragon scale, front to back. I'm exiting this 11-0 here. I'm going to go up through the 11-0 directly across. Now I have to come back through the dragon scale, 11-0, crystal, 11-0, dragon scale. With my thread exiting the dragon scale, I need to come down through the 11-0 where I started, like that. Pull that snug and reinforce. So I'm coming out of this 11-0, I'm going to come back through across, under the 11-0, back through across, and down. So I'm going to flip this a little bit so I can get underneath, going through my dragon scale, 11-0, crystal, 11-0, and dragon scale. Now I want to come up through my 11-0, underneath. Now I'm coming back across through the dragon scale, 11-0, crystal, 11-0, dragon scale, and down through the 11-0 and the next cabochon. Now that I've gone through the 11-0, I need to advance through the cabochon, and that completes reinforcing that embellishment. And we're ready to start the next one. And this is a challenging design because of the spikes of the dragon scale bead. Your thread's going to be getting caught on stuff. Just be very mindful of that and take your time, untangle it as it gets caught. So we're going to do this one more time with you, and then I'm going to send you on your own. So the way this is going to work is we're going to have the dragon scale embellishment all the way to the near the end. So as you can see on these first 3 cabochons, we have the gold 11/0s in between. So you've got 3 cabochons before your dragon scale starts. So when we get to the end, you're going to do the dragon scale embellishment until you get to this point right here. That's where you're going to stop. So the last dragon scale embellishment should be 3 cabochons before the end. So that's where you want to stop. So I'm going to do one more dragon scale embellishment with you, and then I'll send you on your way. It's a very complicated pattern dealing with these, but it's beautiful. You could very well do without this embellishment step if you just wanted to have just the cabochons like that. Certainly it's beautiful either way, but this just adds an extra little pizzazz to it. All right, so we're going to do one more pattern here. So I just finished this reinforcement. I'm exiting the cabochon. I'm going to go through the 11/0 that's sticking out to get ready to do my next embellishment. I'm going to pick up dragon scale back to front and 11/0, a bicone crystal, and 11/0, and a dragon scale front to back. My needle is exiting this 11/0, going in up through the 11/0 directly across. I'm going to come through the dragon scale, 11/0 crystal, 11/0 dragon scale, down through the 11/0, and then reinforce. I'm coming down through the 11/0, now I want to reinforce, going back across through the dragon scale 11/0, crystal 11/0, dragon scale, up through the 11/0, then back across and down. This is the reinforcement. First half, I'm going up through the 11/0 underneath. Now I'm going back across to complete the reinforcement of this embellishment, going through the dragon scale 11/0, crystal 11/0 dragon scale, down through the 11/0 and out through the cabochon. All right, I'm coming out of my dragon scale, going down the 11/0 and through the cabochon. And that completes reinforcing that dragon scale. And there's going to be some play with these. That's just the design of the bracelet. No worries. And the thing is, just make sure that it's secure. You've reinforced it after you've applied your first row of securing it. Then you reinforce it one more time, and then you continue on to the next one. So you're going to continue adding these embellishments until you get to this section right here. So your last embellishment is 3 cabochons before the end. So this is where you're going to stop, and I will meet you when we get back near the end here. So if you need to rewind this video, go ahead. I will have timestamps for where the dragon scale embellishment starts, and that way you can just fast forward to that if you need to. All right, so continue and I'll meet you back. I'm coming down to the end of where I've got one more embellishment to do. So I've got 3 cabochons left, so this is my last embellishment. And I've picked up dragon scale bead back to front, an 11/0 crystal 11/0, and a dragon scale bead front to back. My thread is exiting this 11/0 here. I'm going up through this 11-0 here. We're going to go back through the dragon scale, 11-0, crystal, 11-0, dragon scale. Now I'm going down through the 11-0 where I started. Now I'm going to reinforce, going back through these beads. Now I'm going up through the 11-0 underneath. And back through the beads. Now I'm going down through the 11-0 and through the cabochon. Now that completes the embellishment with the dragon scale beads. Now we are going to bring our thread from the cabochon through this 11-0. We're going to pick up 3 11-0s in galvanized gold. We're exiting this 11-0, going up through this 11-0. Bring your needle back through the 3 11-0s we just added. Come down through the 11-0 and the cabochon bead. Bring your needle through the 11-0. Pick up 3 11-0s. Bring your needle up through this 11-0. Come back through the 3 beads we just added. Now come through this 11-0. And that completes that embellishment. All right, with our thread exiting this middle 11-0, we're going to come through our cabochon bead. Now we're going to come through the middle 11-0, right there. Now we're going to come through the 11-0 and the end hole of the SuperDuo. Now I'm going to flip my work. I'm going to bring my needle through these 2 11-0s right here. So now we are set up for our last embellishment step, and I'll tell you what that is. All right, for the last embellishment, we're going to be adding crystals on the outer edge in each of these little divots. We're going to do that on both sides. Now, if you didn't want to do that embellishment, you could certainly stop here and fast forward to the timestamp where we add the clasp. So that's up to you, but from here we're going to go ahead and do our embellishing with our 3mm bicones. So what you're going to do is you're exiting a middle 11-0 like that. You're going to pick up an 11-0, a bicone crystal, and 11-0. You're exiting here, going into the next 11-0 that is sticking out. And that's going to place that crystal right there. So we're going to do that again. We're exiting this 11-0 sticking out, pick up an 11-0, a crystal, and an 11-0. Go in through the next 11-0 that's sticking out. We'll do that one more time. pick up an 11-0, a crystal, and 11-0, going into the next 11-0 that's sticking out. You're going to repeat that all the way across. So I'll meet you when we get to the end. We're coming down to our last divot for our crystal. So I've got my 11-0, crystal, 11-0, exiting here, going through this next 11-0 that's sticking out. From here, I'm going to go through the 11-0 and this end hole of my SuperDuo and the next 11-0. And I'm going to switch to a size 12 beading needle before I do that because it's getting a little snug. Alright, I have switched to a size 12 beading needle. I'm going through this 11-0 and the SuperDuo and the 11-0. From here we're going to add one side of our clasp. So I'm using a slider clasp, but I'm going to leave it connected so that way I don't get confused when I get to the other end that we're connecting it correctly. Alright, so now that we've gone through our SuperDuo and our 11-0, we're going to pick up 3 more 11-0s and we're going to fasten our clasp here. So I'm going to go through one of the loops of my clasp. I'm going to pick up 3 more 11-0s and I'm going to come down through this 11-0 right here. So that's going to be the first barrel or the first loop of the clasp. Alright, so now let me fix this. It's slightly twisted here. There we go. Alright, so from here I'm going to come back through. I want to come through the 11-0s, the bottom of the SuperDuo. I want to reinforce this one more time. So I'm going to just advance my needle through this 11-0 right here. I'm going to come through this 11-0 right here. Because I want to get to that top hole of the SuperDuo. So I'm going to go through here. Now I'm going to come up through my 11-0s. Just follow your thread path so that you are coming back through where your 11-0s are connecting to your clasp. So now I'm going to come back up through these 2 11-0s and through the clasp. Now I'm going to come down through all of these beads, pull that snug, and we'll try to get to this side. So just follow the thread path. I'm going to keep going through the SuperDuo. And if it gets too tight to go through your SuperDuo, then find another thread path to go through, and that's pretty snug. So I think I'm going to come up, around, and down. So I'm going to come up through these 2. Cross through this SuperDuo. I just want to get to the other side. Alright, so now I'm going to come through these 11-0s right here. Now I'm going to come up through this 11-0 here. And I'm going to work my way across. Now I'm going to come through this 11-0, the SuperDuo, and the 11-0 on the other side. Right there. Now I want to connect to this side of the clasp, so I'm going to pick up 3 11-0s. I'm going to come through the loop on my clasp, pick up 3 more 11-0s. Now I'm going to come down through the 11-0, the SuperDuo, and the 11-0 right there. Now if you don't have a barrel clasp, you can use a different type of fastener, but you want to use one that has the 2-strand option. So now we're just going to reinforce. I'm going to come back through my 11-0s and through my clasp, through the 11-0s on the other side. Let's pull that snug. I'm going to come through. Now I'm going to advance through this next bead that is sticking out right there. So now that you've reinforced this, and if you want to do it a third time, you can. Just follow your thread path and reinforce where you have that fastened. And the reason I have not put a jump ring is because open or closed jump rings with the pulling on this might come open, so I think it's best to fasten your bracelet directly to the rings that are on the slider clasp. Alright, so from here we're going to go back to embellishing the other side with our crystals and 11-0s, just like we did on this side. So to get you started, we're going to pick up an 11-0, a crystal, and an 11-0. We're exiting this bead that is sticking out, going into the next bead. Again, pick up an 11-0, a crystal, and an 11-0. Exiting here, going into the next 11-0 that's sticking out. And you're going to continue that all the way across. So when we get to this end, I'll meet you back, and you're probably going to have to add thread. So all you do to add thread, just come back a few beads, tie a half hitch knot wherever you need thread, weave your thread so that it's coming out wherever you need to be to continue, and then just weave in the tail, tie a couple of half hitch knots, and you can cut your thread. So this tail thread here, I might use this to reinforce my clasp one more time, so I'll do that off camera, and you can do the same and then just cut your thread off. So anytime you have tail threads on this type of thing, if you have to add thread, just weave in the tail, cut that off, start a new thread, and just make sure that you're coming out where you left off. So continue adding your crystals with your 11-0 crystal, 11-0, and I'll meet you when we get to the other side and we'll put on our other clasp. Alright, I'm coming down to my last 2 crystals here, so I'm picking up my 11-0 crystal, 11-0, going in through this next 11-0, and I'm just about out of thread, so I'll go ahead and show you how I'm going to add thread to do the clasp. I don't need much more. So I've got my 11-0 crystal 11-0 going in through this last bead here. Now here I am going to do a half hitch knot right there. Now I'm going to reverse direction, and I'm going to go back through these 11-0s and the crystal. I'm going to do another half hitch knot here, going through this 11-0 and that next 11-0. Going to do another knot here, going under a thread bridge, bringing my needle through the loop, and you want to make sure that knot falls in between your beads. And I'm just going to come back through the 11-0, the crystal, the 11-0, just retracing my thread path backwards, and I'll just come through a few more beads and use up this thread. This will just give it a little bit more strength. Now I'll just come through this 11-0, my SuperDuo, the 11-0, and up through the cabochon. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just try not to get your thread caught on anything like I just did. And once you've weaved your thread in enough to your satisfaction, you can cut that thread off. And what I'm going to do now is add just enough thread to finish adding the other side of my clasp, and then we'll be able to wrap this video up. So let me go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. Alright, I have a new piece of thread just long enough to do my clasp. I've got like, maybe 20 inches or so. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come back a few beads. It doesn't matter which side you do this on. I'm going to come up through this side. So I've got my needle threaded, and I'm using a size 12 because it's starting to get a little snug on this side. So I'm just going to come back through a few beads like this, and once I get past that crystal, I'm going to leave a very short tail. And right here I'm going to do a half hitch knot. So I'll come under a thread bridge like that, pull my needle through. Now I'm going to bring my needle through that loop, pull my thread nice and tight. Now I'm going to advance through a few more beads. I'll come through this next 11-0 and crystal. Come through these beads here. I'm coming out of these 3 11-0s, and I'm going to do another half hitch knot here. Same way, coming under a thread bridge, through the loop, pull, and I'm going to do one more knot coming through these beads. Another half hitch knot here, and that's just securing the new thread that we've started, and that should be good. So now I can cut this tail off, this short tail, because we don't need that. And that's how you add thread. So now I'm just going to advance my needle up to where I need to be to add the other part of my clasp. So as you remember, we need to be exiting out of the 11-0 before the SuperDuo. So I'm just going to keep advancing my needle, coming through this crystal, and I want to be coming out through this 11-0 right here. That's where I need to be. So now we're going to add the other half of our clasp. So what I'm going to do is, because I know that the orientation is this way, I'm going to pull this off like this, and I'm going to flip this. So I know that when my bracelet is finished, it's going to fasten this way. So that's how you want to add a slider clasp. Just to be on the safe side, you want to leave it connected until you're ready to do the final other end of your clasp. So I'm going to pick up 3 of my 11-0s. I'm going to come through this first loop, pick up 3 more 11-0s, just like I did my other one, and I'm going to come down through this 11-0 right here. Now we're going to reinforce, so I'm going to come back through SuperDuo, through the loop, and you're going to do the same thing, reinforce it a couple of times, advance your needle so you're coming out of this bead or this bead. You're going to do 3 11-0s, go through the loop, come back down, tie some 1/2 inch knots, and you'll be all set, and you can clip your thread off, and then I'll meet you back and we'll wrap this video up. All right. We are finished. Here is the finished product of our Moonlit bracelet. Isn't this beautiful? Look at the detail and the shine with the dragon scale beads and this really nice secure slider clasp. Very nice. I hope that you've enjoyed this video today. I wanted to show you the other one I did. Now this was a slider clasp. I also did one in blue with a toggle clasp. And look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Now there's a little bit more leeway on this one because I added a couple of jump rings at the end. And I used the same color of dragon scale but with blue beads, and it really gives it a different look. Isn't that beautiful? And it's such a sleek design. It's very comfortable on the wrist because of the flat back. Very pretty. So this turned out really nice. So this concludes today's tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. There will be links in the description box below with all the products used in today's tutorial. And as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, some of the products are from Red Panda Beads, and I have a discount code with Red Panda. They will give 35% off your first order. It's a one-time use coupon, and the code is Bead Creations, and I will have that on the screen and in the description box. So if you want to order from Red Panda, take advantage of that discount. It's really a great deal. I also have a website where I sell my own jewelry, and you'll see these bracelets posted, and the website link is in the description box as well. If you're not a subscriber, I hope that you do subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you're notified when I upload new videos. I also want to thank all of you who are subscribers who have subscribed and keep sharing this YouTube channel with your friends. I really appreciate you coming back to watch my videos. So I hope you all have a wonderful week. Happy beading, and I'll see you next time.